Hello everybody, my name is Mike Tomorrow and I want to welcome you to the latest episode of My Life with Asperger's. This video topic I'm going to talk about for this episode is going to be about learning from mistakes. I know it's hard for us to move on from a mistake that we make, but it's life that we move on from it, to learn from it, to see what we have done wrong. You know, why am I talking about this? It's because, you know, we have all made mistakes in our lives. I have made mistakes in my lives, and I feel sorry for the mistakes I make, but I learn from them so I can make my life a better life. You know, I know it's hard to learn from them sometimes, but the lessons that they give you are probably the best things that can give you life. You know, it's the best tools. Learning from your mistakes is the best thing that someone can do to improve their life. You know, I make mistakes too, and I know it's hard for me sometimes to learn from them, but learning from them, what lessons you can, is probably the best thing that you can do for your life. And you know, I would like to know who has a perfect life. No one does. And it's like, you know, we all make mistakes. We're sorry that we make them, but it's something that happens. So, anyways, I want to give you the definition here real quick. Mistake is another word for error. And the word error entails different meanings and usage relative to how it is conceptually applied. The concrete meaning of the Latin word error is wandering or straying. You know? But let me say this too. In human behavior, the norms or expectations of behavior or its consequences can be derived from the intention of the actor or from the expectations or the exceptions, whatever, it is expectations, excuse me, of other individuals or forms, or from a social grouping or from social norms. Yeah, I know that we get in trouble because we make a mistake in our life. Yes. But learning from it, we can have a better life. Like, for example, if someone makes a mistake and loses their job, they can learn from what they have done from that and apply it and learn it in a new job, so that incident doesn't happen again in their new job, you know, in their new life. You know, people also, like, I know this is more common too, like, if someone goes in a relationship with someone, I know that they probably make a mistake in doing that, because they have probably chosen the wrong person, or the other person is not good to them and all. But I know it's hard for people to break up a relationship. But if you take it in a positive experience and learn the lessons of what went wrong in the relationship, then you can build it you can use those lessons in your new relationships so that it doesn't happen again. You know, I know it's hard for Aspies when they make a mistake to learn the lesson and to move on. I know it's hard because it, like, once you make a mistake or once a bad thing happens, it haunts you for the rest of your life. Yeah, I know those feelings because it has happened to me as well. I have had experiences where I have made a mistake or I felt upset, and we did an episode about moving on. I know it's hard, but you got to learn the lessons and you got to move on. It's like you cannot stay in the past. Alright? You cannot stay in the past. It's like if you stay in the past, you're going to be upset and depressed for the rest of your life. You got to move on. You got to learn from your mistakes. And I know this is like almost like a second video to what I did earlier with the moving on. But learning from your mistakes is probably the best life lesson you can learn. Your parents will teach you this. Your teachers will teach you this. Your bosses will teach you this. Your children will teach you this. You know, your in-laws will teach you this. Your grandparents will teach you this. Your preacher will teach you this. It's okay to make a mistake once in a while. But it's okay to move on from it and learn from it. We don't have perfect lives. Everybody's gonna make mistakes. You know, I made a video one time, one episode that I did of this series, and looking back at it, I felt, yes, I did make a mistake. Yes, I did talk about something I shouldn't have talked about. I learned from that video, that episode, to not talk about those things. Because I know that, yes, we have the First Amendment. But at the same time, if you talk about something and you make a mistake, it's like, and the video's already published, it's like, uh-oh, I made a mistake. You gotta try to remove that video as soon as possible. I know it's too late once something goes on the internet when you make a mistake. But you gotta take the lessons from that and learn from it. You know, making a mistake is probably the best learning tool that you have when you become an adult and you try to live your future. Or if you see someone else making a mistake, you try not to make that same mistake they did, you know? Whether it's on a job or whether it's at home, on how they raise their children, and you know what I mean? Because when you make a mistake, you shouldn't have to have that factor into your life. Excuse me. You know? I live my life the way it ought to be lived. You know? I love my parents too, you know? But they make mistakes on how they raise me sometimes. But they try to learn from that experience and make my life better, you know? Like, if I'm ever a dad, and if I ever have children, and I need to teach them something, or if I need to teach them a lesson or something, I have to teach them good. Because if I make a mistake, I got to learn from it. You know? Like, when I was a kid, I'd take tests at school. Now, if I get something wrong on the test, the teacher would sometimes point it out. Even on assignment, they would point it out. The mistake. And then it's your job to learn from that so that you know the material. You know? Learning from a mistake is probably the best thing to learn. Probably the best thing to learn, you know? Even though you're learning the material or you're learning stuff at school in a course, you also have to learn how to learn from mistakes. That's probably the best way of learning. That's probably the best way of developing your life, you know? It's like we make mistakes. And we're sorry that we do. But that's the way of growing up. We all make mistakes in life. Not just you or me. Everybody else has done it too. There is no such thing as a perfect person. Okay? Everybody's trying to be perfect, but there's no such thing as a perfect person. Things are going to happen for a reason. And if it's a mistake, you got to learn from it, you know? And I hope to learn from the mistakes I have made in my life. And to move on, you know? Like the lessons I learned from the relationship that I had with my childhood friend, and we broke it off like 4 years now. I learned those lessons, or over 4 years now. It's going to be 5 years coming up. But learning those experiences about why did it occur, why did we break up our friendship, you know, I take those mistakes that I have done to him and I learn from them, you know. I learned how to become a better person. I learned not to do what I done to him to another person, you know, because if you do it to another person, then they're not gonna like you and they don't want to be your friend anymore. I know that. So I feel sorry that I've done it. I feel sorry that I've done things I should have not done. But at the same time, I learned from those. You know? I learned from the mistakes that I've made. I know it's hard to do it. I know it's hard to move on from them. But if you learn them the correct way, if you learn about it, then there shouldn't be any more problems. You know, you'll do fine. Like, you know, like when I got fired from my job at Six Flags New England, I learned a lot. I've made a mistake, maybe I have, and that's the way they want to do it. But it's their loss, alright, and it's another company's gain, like Domino's Pizza. Like when I worked for them, it was like I had to take those lessons that I've learned at Six Flags and incorporate them to what I have done at Domino's. You know, and try not to make the same mistakes that I did at Six Flags. Like, and then I got my job with Disney World. And I gotta try to make sure that I apply my lessons that I learned from the mistakes I made at Domino's to make sure those mistakes don't happen again at Disney. And I probably, if I get another job, then I gotta make sure to take the lessons that I've learned from the mistakes that I made at Disney and not apply them again at the new job. You know? Do you understand what I'm trying to say here? Essentially, when you have a job and you lose it, or if you decide to leave a job for another job, don't take the mistakes with you and learn from the mistakes that you made at the previous job and apply them towards your new job. You know, that's the same way about relationships or courses and all that other stuff. So I hope to see you guys later on. I'm going to end this video right now, and hopefully you stay perfect as best as you can, but if you do make a mistake in your life, try to learn from it, because it's the best learning tool you have. Bye for now.